Hi guys and welcome back. So today we're going to be sorting out the oil issue on my £1,500 Audi S4. In the last video then I went over this car and pretty much how I got it for £1,500. So if you want to take a look at that, click the link down below. This car is using a litre of oil every 100 miles and I'd say that's a pretty big problem. And today we're going to be giving it our best shot trying to fix that. And I think you know when you've got a bit of a problem because you're buying your oil topper, it's not in a 1 litre or a 5 litre bottle, but a 20 litre bottle of oil. The joys of owning an Audi. And today we're going to try and fix that without having to rebuild the whole engine. And how are we going to fix that issue without having to rebuild it, you're asking? This stuff here, what is it you ask? So this is Bowman B12 chem tool and you can get this stuff from the USA. I've done some research online, apparently people have had some pretty good results with this stuff. I was going to go and get some different stuff like pretty much like an oil that you'd run through the engine to try and clear it out. But I've heard good stuff about this, so we're going to give it a go. Let's give it a go and see if it works. Fingers crossed it's going to solve the issue. First what we're going to do is put the car in a service position. Right then, let's get into it. First of all, to get the car in service mode, what I've got to do is I've got to jack the car up and I'm going to get both the wheels off to make it easier to get behind each corner of the bumper. Now I need to remove the full T30 bolts at the top and a couple of T25s at each side to hold the bumper on. Tucked away each side, there are about 3 10mm bolts that we've got to undo so we can pull the bumper away. There are 2 at the bottom to hold it on and 1 at the front. Then a couple of T30 bolts at the front, unplug the fog light covers and it's straight off. Then there are 3 70mm bolts at each side which hold the crash bar and the slam panel onto the chassis. Once we've undone them, we can pull it straight forward. Unfortunately then yesterday we ran out of daylight, but the car is pretty much in its service position now, so I'm going to show you what we've done and carry on. I had to take the front headlight out to get to a little 10mm bolt there so that we could pull the panel forward. So I've taken all the bolts out each side now and I've replaced the 2 top ones with some slightly longer bolts at the same thread so that we can slide the panel forward and kind of rest it on that. There's some Torx 30 bolts up here on each side as well that we need to undo, so we've undone them. I've also had to pull that off quickly. You're probably wondering then why we actually done it. Well, because we need to actually manually turn this engine by hand. We've moved this forward then so we can gain access to the crank bolt down here to turn the engine by hand. The main reason for that is because we need to put this engine into top dead centre. We also want to make sure that we can manually turn this engine by hand before hitting the start motor and causing any damage. What we need to do then is move the rest of the stuff off up here, so take the intake off, get that coolant bottle out of the way, as well as pulling all the coil packs out and spark plugs from each side. I started off on this side first by removing the coolant bottle and then pulling all of the coils and the plugs out. We've got all the plugs out of there now and they don't look great. This is probably the worst one. This is out of I think 5, so that one there, if you look at it, it's absolutely covered in all sorts of carbon deposits and sludge, so there's definitely a problem with that cylinder. The other 2 then, they look like they're running a little bit too hot, as you can tell, so we're going to change the plugs as well. That's one side out of the way, let's carry on with the other. Now we've got all the coils and the plugs out, what we need to do is put the engine into top dead centre. We're going to turn the crank pulley by hand and then put something in cylinder 1 as a turn it by hand to roughly judge where it is. I don't know, some of you may not agree with this, but it works fine for me. Okay, so cylinder 1 and 6 are in top dead centre now. What we're going to do then is put some of this in cylinder 1 and 6 now that they're at top dead centre and basically leave it to soak for a few hours. What I think's happening then is inside of the engine that the rings are sticking and that's why it's burning so much oil. So there are 3 different layers to rings in an engine. We've got the top ring, the middle ring and the bottom ring. And what I think's happening is on the bottom ring where it's meant to seal the oil, it's basically full up with all sorts of carbon and sludge and it's not properly sealing the oil into the engine so that they can't move. What that's doing is allowing excessive oil to pass into the cylinder. What we're going to do then is pour about 50ml of this into cylinder 1 and 6, and then once we've done these we're going to manually turn the engine by hand again and carry on with the other cylinders, but 1 and 6 should be at top dead centre at the same time. After that I think it will be 2 and 4 and then we can move on to 5 and 3. What this should do then is try and break down some of the carbon that's stuck to the rings and hopefully solve our issue. We're going to go over each one a couple of times just to make sure that we've done it properly. Hopefully this should save us having to take the engine to pieces. And while we're waiting for that, we've got a few things that we can be getting on with. One thing I want to do is restore the headlights. I started off with about 400 or 600 grit and it just wouldn't cut it, so I had to go even more aggressively at it, starting off at 180 all the way through, and that actually got through all the little chips on them and now they look absolutely immaculate. The only little defects you can actually see in them now are from the inside, and I don't think it's going to be worth taking the headlights to pieces. Now if you look at this side, the stone chips on it are really bad and most of the damage is actually on the outside. So I've given it my best shot at trying to cut it back and get rid of most of those heavy stone chips and sort of yellowing that's happened to the headlight over the years. They do look a lot better, but we're not going to stop there with the headlights. I've been sent these Auxito LED headlight bulbs, so we're going to replace the main beam bulb with these. And would you look at that, just in time, it's starting to get dark. So I've not come across this before, but one thing I've noticed about these that's really good is they've got a fan in the back of them to keep them cool and stop them from overheating, and they're LED. But what usually happens in them is the xenon bulbs, they start to overheat, and that's when they pop, and that's when the bulb actually breaks. So hopefully these should last a hell of a long time. The best thing, they're only going to take about 5 minutes to put in, but if you're not quite sure, we have a user manual. These are honestly worlds apart to the bulbs that I actually had in this car, because before they were yellow and dingy, and these are bright and white. So if you want to set these, I'll leave a link in the description down below and use discount code BURNEY for 15% off. Anyway, as you can see, these headlights look far better than what they did. The only defects are really on the inside now, and of course we have got more important things to be doing. Right, now we've left that overnight, what we're going to do before we turn the engine over, we're going to quickly blow out each of these cylinders with air just to kind of get any debris out. The main reason why we're doing this is to try and get rid of the worst of the debris that's left in there, or any carbon that's built up that we can free off. After that, we can turn the engine by hand and move on to the other cylinders. This should also stop us from any sort of mishaps where the engine starts to get a bit stiff and we're struggling to move it. Also, while waiting for that, I want a bit more supercharger noise out of this engine. We're also going to make our own intake, because this baffles a lot of supercharger noise, so you can't really hear anything. And what we're going to do is basically I've ordered some pipes and a tube, and we're going to replace it with that and try and make it work. We're not just going to be buying one and fitting it straight to the car, because that would be too easy. So we're going to make our own. We're also going to try and retain the factory airbox and make good use of it, because it's already got an aftermarket filter in it. First of all, I've started off by trying to fit everything into place. So what I've got here is, I think, a joiner from 76mm to about 90mm. The pipe I'm using is 90mm and it's about 3.5 inches. I was just doing most of this by eye and cutting off a couple of inches each time at each end to try and roughly get it into place. After a little bit more trimming and trying to mock it up a few more times, I finally got it to the right size that I needed to fit it into place, so I made my final cut. Now that it was cut to size, I just needed to make a final few adjustments and clamp everything into place. Now that this was all secured into place, I needed to make a connection in the pipe for the vacuum line. So I used a precision tool to make some extremely accurate measurements on where to put it. This fits it perfectly now, so all I need to do is get that vacuum line joined up. So I'm going to put a bit of extra pipe on there, join it up and get something welded on here. First of all, I'm going to drill that hole out and have that welded on. Now what I'm going to do is go and get that welded, leave this overnight and come back to it tomorrow. We'll finish off with the airbox tomorrow, as well as the other cylinders. After that, we should be able to see if this has solved our issue. So I quickly cleaned out the cylinders with the airline, and loads of crap came out of a couple of them. Some of them, nothing came out, but at least we know we were doing something. So I turned the engine again by hand, topped the cylinders up again, and moved on to the back two. Okay, so I've had that welded on. It only cost me 20 quid. That's all ready to go on now, so I just need to put a joiner on that pipe so we can connect it onto here. And now while we're waiting for that, we're going to start modifying the airbox. So I started off by breaking it into two different parts and removing the filter from it. I also gave the air filter a quick dust down to try and get rid of any dirt that was left on it. And then I just went straight in with the drill and started drilling out the airbox. You may think this is a questionable way to do it, but at the same time, it's kind of better than an aftermarket filter which is kind of exposed to a lot of the heat at the same time. So what I'm actually doing is I'm only drilling out the side that gets the cold air. After this, I started drilling holes in the lid because I wanted to try and hollow this out so that we could get a bit more supercharger noise that we could actually hear from inside of the car. So I had to properly hack away at this lid, and it does start to look really shoddy, but in the end it does actually look pretty good in my opinion. So for now, you're just going to have to trust the process and see how it actually pans out. After roughing out the majority share of it and getting the worst of it out, I started trying to trim up the inside and sand it down so it was all nice and smooth around the edges, and it didn't look completely awful. After it's all trimmed up, I've actually got some grill mesh that I'm going to be sticking on the inside of it that I found that I had left over from something else. Now that it's all trimmed up, it doesn't look completely awful. Now what we've got to do is fit the grill mesh to it and cut it to size. Once again, I started off with the precision tool to make some extremely accurate measurements.
You look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date. You're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if I fall.
I had to trim this down quite a bit and kind of poke it into the corners where I wanted to sit, and the awkward thing as well was it was kind of bending as you was trying to push it in. So once I'd cut it roughly into what seemed to be a good fit, I've got some resin out and I've stuck it down. After sticking it down, I made some purpose-made weights for it to hold it down overnight. The next day, all that was left to do was put everything back together and get it on the car. Now that it's all back together, it doesn't look awful in my opinion. All we need to do is fit it back to the car. But first, I'm going to quickly clean out the cylinders again, give them a quick blowout and clean up around them. And I also thought, while we've got the coil packs off and everything out, we may as well give it a proper clean up on the top of the rocker covers and where the coil packs are sitting. I just used some all-purpose cleaner, gave them a quick brush up, washed it down and then dried everything off with an airline. Of course, this isn't essential, but I thought while I've got everything off, it's going to make it look a hell of a lot cleaner in there and just clear away years and years of grime. Now that we're all done in here, everything's ready to put back together and we can see if it's made any difference at all. We're going to make sure that I can turn the engine a couple of times by hand and then we can put the plugs and the coil packs back in. Now that we've sorted that out, we can start putting everything back together, but first I'm going to flush out the old coolant and put some new stuff in. That's some of the coolant that came out of it when I took the expansion tank off, and it's usually pink, and as you can probably see, it's a little bit orange, so it's probably a good idea to flush it out while we've got it in this state. This pipe at the top was a bit of a pain, but in the end it came off with a bit of fluid. Before I put new coolant in, I just flushed it out quickly with a hose from both ends. Now it was time for me to fit the Mona Lisa of the airbox world. Now that was all back in place, it was just time to put everything else back together so that I could start the car up. Now we've pretty much got the front end back on, I'm going to start the car up and let it run for about 30 minutes just to try and warm the engine up and let it create any sort of debris that's in there out. You're probably wondering as well why I've put the plugs back in, because they're absolutely knackered. So the reason I haven't put new plugs in yet is because I kind of want to run it on the old plugs just in case any debris or carbon builds up in them while I'm doing this, just to stop anything happening to the new plug. So once we've done that, we're going to change the plugs in it, drop the oil out, new oil and filter. And of course, while I'm waiting for it to warm up, I'm going to bleed the coolant through, and if I've got some time, I'm going to put the front end back on. So I'm pretty sure it's working, because look at all this crap that's coming out the back. It's all just completely carbon, it's absolutely nasty. So I'm going to change the oil and then take this on a run. So I put a fresh oil filter in there and put about 6.8 litres of oil in. Now that we've changed the oil out, let's change them plugs out. I made sure before fitting the new plugs that I gapped them all, and I gapped them to about 0.65mm. And now we were ready to take this car out and test it and see if it made it any better. So I went out in the car and it all went the wrong way. Right, so where do I start? Well, basically this car, it drives a hell of a lot smoother now, but we do have an issue. Basically, I took this car out on a quick test drive the other night to make sure everything was okay, and it isn't. So I went to put fuel in the car last night just to make sure, you know, we had enough fuel in it and then we could carry on with everything else tomorrow. And when I went to put fuel in it, I noticed there was a bit of steam coming from under the bonnet. And when I popped the bonnet, basically, it looked like there's a slight coolant leak from the front of the engine, and basically it started to lose a lot of its coolant, and it had probably gone down about half of the bottle by that point, and the fuel station is probably about 5 or 10 miles from here. And of course everything was fine up until that point, no leaks in the driveway or anything like that. So I'm not too sure what's happened. Maybe it's something I've done, or maybe it's just bad luck, but we're not going to have time for that today, unfortunately. So in the next video, I'm going to carry on basically trying to figure out what's wrong with the coolant and see if we can get to the bottom of it, and hopefully we'll be able to carry on with everything else, hear the supercharger noise, see how much better it is to drive. So it's pretty much lost all of its coolant and it's leaking by what looks to be a lot of coolant at the front. What I'm doing now then is I'm trying to warm the car up to temperature again after topping the coolant up and trying to clean up all the areas and just see if there's coolant leaking from anywhere, so I can kind of try and roughly gauge what's happening with this car, because right now I'm not too sure. What it does look like is that it's leaking from down there somewhere, but like I say, I've been running this for about 10-15 minutes now and I can't see any change in the coolant, unless it is something to do with that water pump, because they are quite common to fail on these and I'm not too sure if it's been done. I'm pretty sure the thermostat and PCB have been done, so we can rule them out, and if not, I think it's just plastic fibre on the back of here. I'm not sure if you can hear it as well, but the bearings in that do sound a little bit rough, so I'm definitely going to need to look into that. It might be the water pump is actually on its way out. Look, oh wait, we've got a coolant leak down here. I'm not sure if it's here, but just down there at the bottom, it's starting to leak coolant. And that looks like it could actually be coming from the water pump. Just look, you see that down there? Just down there in that bottom bit there. By the looks of it then, I'm going to have to pull the whole front end of this car off again. We're not going to have time for that in today's video, unfortunately, but I'm going to leave it till next time, and then we're going to try and figure out where the coolant's leaking from. And I'm sorry if you wanted to hear the supercharger noise and see all of those things, because I was planning on doing it today, unfortunately. But like I say, this has actually happened, and I'm quite grateful in a way that it actually happened probably only about 5-10 minutes down the road, where I had enough coolant in the car to kind of take it easy and bring it back without too much hassle. So of course, in the next video, we're going to try and fix this issue and get on with it. And I didn't have my camera on me or anything like that, because this is like the last thing that I'd actually expected, especially after running it up, checking everything was okay. Otherwise, I would have never dropped it down. And I'm sorry if you were waiting till the end of the video to see if it actually solved our issue, because we were going to do a few miles on it, do 100 miles on it, see if the oil level would change. Of course, a bit of supercharger noise in there. But like I say, this fault's developed and we've got to get to the bottom of it before we can actually cover stuff like that. So I'm sorry about that, but we will cover it in the next video and we'll pick off from where we left off anyway. If you want to see that, tap down below, hit subscribe, and of course we'll carry on from where we left off and hopefully we'll be able to solve it without too much hassle. So thanks for watching and I'll catch you next time.